On November 26, 1930, a shocking headline appeared on the front page of a Canadian newspaper titled Village of the Dead. This disturbing news spread fear throughout Canada because an entire tribal settlement from the remote north had mysteriously disappeared overnight without a trace. Deep within northern Canada lies a secluded body of water known as Angikuni Lake. Along its shores once lived a small community of an indigenous tribe, often referred to as Eskimos. Around 100 to 150 people lived here, depending largely on the lake's fish for survival. This region is known for its brutally cold weather, and despite its massive size spanning thousands of square kilometers, only a handful of people live here. Alongside fishing, the tribe also hunted wild animals in the surrounding areas, drawing hunters to the region throughout the year. On one particularly freezing day in November 1930, a hunter named Joe LaBelle arrived for a hunting expedition. So engrossed in the hunt, he didn't even notice when night fell. Like many times before, he planned to spend the night with nearby tribe beside Angikuni Lake, known for their warm hospitality toward travelers. He gathered his gear and began walking toward the village. No signs of life, no voices. Only the sound of his own footsteps echoed in the cold. Joe had walked this path before, but something felt wrong this time. Usually, the village dogs would bark from a distance, but this time there wasn't a single sound. Even as he drew near, the entire place seemed empty and eerily still. Uneasy, Joe picked up his pace, assuming the villagers were either asleep or had gone elsewhere. From a distance, he noticed smoke rising from a few huts, suggesting someone might be inside. But as he approached, he heard nothing. When Joe finally stepped into the village, he was stunned. There were no people, no animals, just complete emptiness. What shocked him even more was the rising smoke from several homes, as if they were just recently occupied. He entered one of the huts at random, but no one was inside. Every hut told the same story. Perhaps Joe might have left, ignoring what he saw, but then he noticed something that made the situation even more troubling. In several homes, cooking pots were still on the stoves. The food inside had burned. This clearly showed someone had started cooking, but had never returned to eat. Even half-stitched clothes were left behind with needles still threaded. It felt like people had left suddenly in the middle of their daily chores. But the question remained, where did they go? Joe began thoroughly searching the area. He found several dogs still tied to posts, all dead from starvation. There was food placed nearby, but no one had been around to feed them. At one spot, Joe found a freshly dug grave. It hadn't been there for long. These discoveries only heightened Joe's fear. Facing this strange mystery, his anxiety grew. In such places, people never leave their dogs behind. But the scene suggested something extraordinary had happened. Something so urgent that the tribe abandoned food, clothes, and even their fires still burning. Joe couldn't handle the sight any longer and rushed to the nearest telegraph office. There, he contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and described everything he had seen. When police reached the site, they confirmed Joe's report. Everything was exactly as he had said. They initially suspected a possible massacre, that maybe someone attacked and killed the tribe. But there were no signs of violence, no blood, no broken belongings. Nothing. A search operation was immediately launched. During the investigation, an incredibly strange discovery was made, one even Joe had missed. The village was completely covered in snow, yet there were no footprints anywhere. The only prints were Joe's own. This meant that no one had entered or left the village besides him. So then, where had the villagers vanished to? The lake was frozen solid, and their fishing boats were pulled onto land, typical for that time of year when fishing stops. If the villagers had tried to flee across the lake or were thrown into it, the ice would have cracked or broken, but it was perfectly undisturbed. Further investigations revealed the villagers had likely disappeared several days before Joe arrived. Dogs don't die from hunger in a day or two, and the lingering smoke suggested that fires had only recently gone out, indicating they hadn't been gone for long. The police had countless questions, but not a single answer. After several months of fruitless searching, authorities eventually closed the case as unsolved, and with time, the world slowly forgot about it. Then, about 50 years later in 1984, two writers, Roger Bohr and Nigel Blundell, wrote an article attempting to link the mystery to extraterrestrial beings. They claimed that during a visit to the area near Angikuni Lake, they met a hunter and his two sons who reported seeing strange flying objects above the lake with unusual shapes flying toward the direction of the missing village. Based on this, the writers speculated that perhaps the villagers had been abducted by aliens that night. However, they had no solid evidence to support their theory, so most people didn't take them seriously and dismissed the idea entirely. Many other speculative tales surfaced afterward, trying to explain the disappearance. But the hard truth remains. Even after nearly a century, no one truly knows what happened to the people of Angikuni Lake. The disappearance of this entire tribe remains one of history's unsolved mysteries. Subscribe